How's it going, everyone? So what we're going to look at today is the implementation of the Duchess challenge from the CI/CD Go project hosted on GitHub. Um, in a short description, the CI/CD Go challenges are a series of challenges pertaining to a deliberately vulnerable software supply chain pipeline. And the intended purpose of these challenges are given certain uh, hints and descriptions will go into this pipeline, interacting with different repositories and just mucking around with the information that we're given to see if we can exploit these vulnerabilities and find what they have listed as flags. As you can see, I'm working on Kali Linux. All the information that you need for the setup of the CI/CD Go and all of the URLs to the APIs that you'll be interacting with and the repositories. They are provided to you on the GitHub page. When you can just go to Google and type in CI/CD Go, and you'll pull up the repository and all the information's there. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the implementation of the Duchess challenge. This was a culmination of a lot of research. I also followed the solution provided by the GitHub page. It's not as elaborate, and there really aren't videos that exist going over most of the challenges. So I hope you guys get some enjoyment out of this. I had really fun solving it and learning from it. It's a super valuable experience for anybody who's either in networking or even software. So we're going to go ahead and get started. As you can see, I have my Kali Linux machine fired up, and we're just going to go ahead and go to Firefox. Again, all of the URLs that you need to get up and running and doing these challenges are provided to you on the GitHub page. There'll be other videos later that I'll implement. I'll show you how to get the project set up and get everything set up and running properly. But for now, we're just going to go over the challenge. As you can see, the APIs that I'm going to be working with are all bookmarked because I'm constantly going back and forth, and you will too, to kind of pull information from what you need to get these challenges solved. So we'll look at the capture the flag bulletin board or the dashboard where all the challenges are and where you'll get your hints from. So as you can see, when you go ahead and log in, the credentials for each API are provided to you. Same thing on that GitHub page for the CI/CD Go challenge. That GitHub page has all of your URLs that you'll be using to get up and running and get started. As you can see, we have 3 of the challenges solved already, and we're just going to go ahead and look at the Duchess challenge. So just going over that description, it says we have access to the Wonderland Duchess repository, and we're concerned about some Python tokens, some PyPy tokens. If you're going through these challenges, most people say, I don't want to look at the hints. It's highly recommended that you do. They're given to you for a reason. So we'll go ahead and take a look at these hints. So it says right now, a PyPy token has a prefix of PyPy. That's not given to you just for no reason. We're more than likely that's what you're going to kind of be using as your identifier for some larger range search of something. And then if we look at the secondary hint, it says mistakes could have been made in the past. We'll just go ahead and tell you this now because I've already solved it and this wasn't intuitive to me, but they're referring to, we're dealing with the repository that has the keyword past in it. So we're kind of, it should be leading you to, how can I look at the history of a repository, or more specifically, the commit history of a repository? Like I said, I used the solution provided by the GitHub page for the CI/CD Go as my guidance to deconstruct it and reconstruct the solution. The solution they provide isn't as elaborate. It doesn't show you all the points from A to Z, which this video will be covering. So when I read this hint, I started to look on Google about how to scan a repository for history, and commit histories came up. And there's plenty of tools that we can be using to get a hold of a repository and then run some sort of scan on it to pull all that information to us. And then we can search the results, which is kind of how we're going to approach this. So we'll go ahead and get into it. So we'll go ahead and just leave this page up. Down here is where you'll take your token, and you can see I have one solved attempt. So I do know what the answer looks like, but we'll go ahead and show it and highlight it so that way you guys can see it as well. And these answers can also, these flags can also be compared to the solutions provided by the GitHub page where all of this is hosted. So that way you can go ahead and verify that you've got the right flags as well. So we'll leave this up and running for now because we'll come back and we'll just plug the token in and we'll go ahead and see if that works. So we have all of the URLs that we need to get to our different repositories that we'll be using, but I just kind of want to show you, like, for instance, we're going to be visiting the Wonderland Duchess repository. So that's just your localhost port 3000 and then Wonderland/Duchess. And this is kind of what we're looking at right now is our Duchess repository. We're not going to do anything for this challenge directly to this. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what this looked like. But what we are interested in is this URL. Again, you can go ahead and research it on Google of how to copy a repository directly to your desktop if you don't know how to do that. It is a simple process. I put everything on my desktop so I know where I can find it. Things can get a little weird in root directories and whatnot, but we're not going to be doing anything directly to the repository. We're not even actually making changes. We're just going to give ourselves a copy of this repository, and then we're just going to run some tool on it to perform a scan and pull some information to us. So we can actually go ahead and close this Wonderland Duchess out. I kind of just wanted that URL. That's going to be super important to cloning this repository. So we can just go ahead and close that out. And we'll minimize this for right now. And we're going to go to our terminal emulator. Like I said, I put everything on my desktop. You can see here right now, there's no folder that says Duchess. But after we go ahead and clone that folder, and if the code successfully executes, the commands execute correctly in the terminal emulator, you'll see a folder generate, and that's when we can start messing around with it. So first I want to go ahead and access the root user, right? Go ahead and put your Kali password in. Let's try it again. If I can spell correctly, of course. All right. Now, like I said, I like to use everything. I like to put all my files that I'm messing around with on my desktop. So I'm just going to go ahead and change the directory to the desktop. Now we're here. So we want to first clone that repository, that Wonderland Duchess repository, to our desktop. And that's going to be that command git clone. And then we're going to just go ahead and, I have it typed in already, but auto-populate that HTTP localhost port 3000 Wonderland Duchess. Let's go ahead and click enter on that. And you can see now that repository, we now have a local copy of that repository. You can actually go in and look at some of the files and some of the docs in there. But we're not going to be messing with any of that. We're not going to be doing any code changes or pushes. We're just simply pulling that repository for our own copy, to have our own copy, and now we're going to run some scan on it. The solution hosted on GitHub uses some different tool, but I did my research and I had familiarity with another tool called TruffleHog. It is a repository scanner for secrets, for different credentials or just sensitive information in general. So that's what I'll be using today. And the command to scan our local repository here on our desktop is super simple. You'll have to install TruffleHog on your Kali Linux machine. There are plenty of resources and different types of documentation on how to use TruffleHog in Kali Linux, how to install it. So go ahead and look that up in other videos, and I'll be able to provide some links later on. So once you have it successfully installed, the command to run a scan on a local repository is really simple. It's just TruffleHog and then the name of the local copy that you want. And in this case, we're just going to scan Duchess, which is living here on our desktop. So once we do that, we can just hit enter, and now it's starting its scan. It's actually scanning the entire repository and also the commit history. But as you can see, this is a default scan. There are other commands and other parts of the syntax that you can put in there to refine your scan to more things. But here we're just doing a default scan, especially since that we have a identifier or kind of an indicator that we're looking for. So we're looking for something that says pi, but as you can see, there's a lot of information that's just pulled in through here. Um, Kind of a little tedious to go ahead and scan through, but what we can do is just use the terminal emulator's search function and just see. We can use that identifier pi and see where it pops up and if it's anything of interest that we might want to pull. So we'll just do the short key for that is Control Shift F, and you can see it pulls up our search bar there. And what we'll do next is we'll just do a pi. So you can see we're already starting to get results. Here's that first set of results up top here. Nothing really good there, but if we go ahead and iterate through where that's starting to show up now, we're starting to see something that's actually kind of interesting. And right here, it says that matches our identifier that was given to us in the hints. So what we can do now is this does look like a useful bit of information there. So the best thing to do is just go ahead and copy that. And we will go ahead and copy that. And we'll go back to our dashboard. And we'll go ahead and plug this into our dashboard and see if this is what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and copy that. We'll go back to our dashboard. Here are our challenges. We're working on the Duchess challenge, and we'll just go ahead and paste that right in there. Go ahead and get rid of that blank space on the back end there. Now I have already solved this, so it's probably going to tell me I've already done that. Yeah, I've already solved this, but it didn't tell me that it was the wrong key. Let's see. So it won't even tell me if it's the wrong key. However, we can look at this key and go ahead and look at the different solution files on the GitHub page, and we will find that this does match the GitHub solution. So that first flag for Duchess can be found this way. There's other ways of implementing this. This is kind of the easiest way that I found that made sense to me. Let me know if you guys find any other solutions. Go ahead and make a video and post them as well. And I hope you guys found this as beneficial as I did. It was certainly a little challenging, but it's a great learning opportunity. I definitely recommend it. And we'll go ahead and have other videos covering other challenges later on. And I hope you guys found this rewarding. Thanks.